بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ به تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره الكافرون صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد. Most respected viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the 23rd episode. The 23rd, yes, the 23rd episode of our presentation on thematic study of the Quran. In the last two episodes, episode 21 and episode 20, we began to discuss about resurrection and life after death in the Quran. In the 21st episode, we discussed different views that are different from the Quranic view regarding resurrection and life after death. In the 22nd episode, we began to refute those perspectives, those wrong notions and wrong beliefs regarding resurrection and life after death. Among other things, what we discussed in the 22nd episode is the fact that this world shall come to an end. A Muslim must believe that this world shall come to an end. Some philosophers and some other religions don't believe that this world will end. But we answered them both with Quranic verses and with rational arguments and logical reasoning. Now we will take up the next particular issue, and that is that of those who completely rejected the possibility of resurrection and life after death. But I believe this particular issue was discussed, so to say, elaborately in the 21st edition. We discussed it at length. We explained that that is the pre-Islamic Arabian belief, that there will be no life after death, after we have decomposed, and that it is the same with the beliefs of atheists today, who think that to believe or to think that there will be another life after this life is just a myth, it's not a reality. But we actually refuted this. What is instructive here? What is instructive here is the fact that the Quran addresses this issue of rejection of resurrection very rationally. And along the line, we will explain although we will come and discuss when we come to discuss the Quran and science, then you see the Quran, you know, develops in us what today is called critical thinking or rational thinking and rational argument. The Quran presents rational arguments and takes us through creative thinking on certain matters. One of the matters in which the Quran takes us through rational thinking and also critical thinking is on the subject of resurrection and life after death. What the pre-Islamic Arabs used to say was that it wouldn't be possible after we decay and decompose after death that we could be brought back to life again. That is what they thought. And these have been stated in several verses of the Quran. We read some of them. Now, modern atheists and some, scientists that do not believe in God and do not believe in, resurrection would also make the same argument. It's not different at all. The only thing is that, the modernists or the modern scientists and modern atheists would only be priding. They would only be priding that, no, you see, we're looking at this thing scientifically. We're looking at it scientifically, and we're presenting scientific argument. We will say that if we die and decompose, we go through chemical change, and chemical change cannot be revived back to its original form. So we now present the Quranic rational argument, the rational argument that is made in the Quran, that look, it is stupid to think that there will be no life after death and there will be no resurrection. Why? This is because, like the Quran argues, Allah has stated in the Quran that He is the one that created human beings and all other creatures. And He created all these creatures from nothing. They were not existing. Not that Allah didn't, there were no raw materials, so to say. There were no raw materials that Allah put together to bring this universe. He created the universe from nothing. From nothing. And therefore, He that created from nothing, think logically, please. Think rationally and think critically. He that created from nothing, will it be difficult for Him to now create it from its roots, from its remains, when there are the remains there, to reassemble it and bring it back? This is the argument of the Quran. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ وَلَهُ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Allah says, وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ. He it is that originated creation, that originates creation. ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ. And He it is that repeats it. So which one is easier? And which one is more difficult? Originating from nothing or repeating? When you did it once and you come to repeat it, which one is more difficult? Logically, rationally, and critically thinking, And these are the kinds of arguments Allah presents in the Quran to people who argue that there wouldn't be resurrection and there will be no life after death. We read these kinds of critical thinking in the Quran in a number of verses, but the one that is most explicit and straight to the point are the verses at the end of Surah Yasin. Surah Yasin, that is chapter 36. What is instructive in the argument presented in these verses are that the argument is so elaborate and so powerful, as we will see in these verses of Surah Yasin. أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِن نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٌ الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّنَ الشَّجَرِ الْأَخْضَرِ نَارًا فَإِذَا أَنْتُم مِّنْهُ تُوقِدُونَ فَسُبْحَانَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ مَلَكُوتُ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَنْ يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ فَسُبْحَانَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ مَلَكُوتُ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. Listen to the Quran as it critically and rationally argues against those who believe that there will be no resurrection. He says, doesn't man see that we created him from a drop of sperm? فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ. And man has turned out to be so argumentative and so controversial. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ. Man sets examples that are disgustful. Examples of ascribing wickednesses to God. وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ. And man forgets of what he was created, that he was created from a drop of sperm. قَالَ, he says, مَنْ يُحْيِي الْإِظَامَ. Who is it that can revive bones? وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. After they have decomposed. This was more than 1,400 years ago. This is what the pre-Islamic Arabs were saying. Man yuhyil izama wa hiya ramim. Who can revive bones after they have decomposed? This is what modern atheists are saying. Nothing different. Who can revive bones after they have decomposed? That bones, when they decompose, they go through chemical change and they cannot be revived. Just like when you burn a paper and the paper turns into ashes, it is a chemical change. How can you bring it back? It's not the same as when you turn water into ice block, which is physical change. The water can turn to liquid. But when you burn a paper into ashes, it's chemical change. So man yuhyil izama wa hiya ramim. The pre-Islamic Arab who rejects resurrection would say, who would revive bones after they have decomposed? And he will stop at that. But the modern atheist would think that he was presenting a scientific argument. When something has gone into a chemical change, how can you put it back into its original form? Look at the critical, argument the Quran is presenting here. Listen to the rational argument the Quran is making here. He says, "Qul, say to them, yuhyiha, he will revive it. Alladhi ansha'aha, he that originated it. Awwala marra, in the first instance, when it wasn't existing. There was nothing, he just brought it out, or he brought it up. He that did that is the one that will revive it. And now ask yourself, creating something from when it wasn't there, just like a paper. Let's just stop at that. When there is nothing, no raw material, nothing, and he brings out the paper, and the paper it is. But now the paper is burned into ashes. Now there are the ashes of the paper. He will just put together the ashes of the paper. He will just put together the ashes of the paper and bring back the paper, which is more difficult. Look at the rationality in this argument of the Quran. Say to them, he that originated its creation in the first instance is the one that shall revive it. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٍ. And he is all knowledgeable about all sorts of creation. الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّنَ الشَّجَرِ الْأَخْضَرِ نَارًا. He it is that brings fire to you. He brings fire from the tree that is green. Ordinary explanation of this would be that you see the tree looking green as it is looking, but at a point it will turn dry and you make firewood out of it. Or that now we are talking about fossil fuel, and you bring out energy from fossils, and so on and so forth. A number of scientific explanations. But Allah is saying, if it is possible to get fire from a green tree, is it difficult therefore to revive creation? فَإِذَا أَنْتُم مِّنْهُ تُوقِدُونَ. And you rekindle the fire. Now electricity is being produced from a number of sources, including even from water, hydrocarbon, source of electricity. So if it is possible to get fire from water, for example, how will it be difficult to get, a decomposed creature back to life? إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَنْ يَقُولَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونُ. As far as his affairs are concerned, if he wills a thing, then it is. If he wills, when he intends to make creation, he would only say to it, he will just say, kun, be, fayakun, and it will just be. It will just, that is how he creates. ما خلقكم ولا بعثكم إلا كنفس واحدة إن الله سميع بصير. ما خلقكم, your creation, ولا بعثكم, and your resurrection after death, إلا كنفس واحدة, it is as simple and as easy like the creation and resurrection of a single soul. Allah is all hearing and all seeing. Now these are arguments in the Quran regarding the fact that there will be life after death. Now, going further, some philosophers and some thinkers do say that even if there will be resurrection, the resurrection will only be virtual or spiritual resurrection. That it is only spirits that shall be resurrected, and it is not bodies, that we shall not be resurrected in our own physical bodies. It is the same side. It is another side of the argument that we will not be resurrected or whatever, that our bodies will not be resurrected. So although, as far as this point of view is concerned, it is not totally rejecting resurrection after death, revival after death. What it's saying is that we will not be resurrected in our physical body. Only the soul or only the spirit will be resurrected. And therefore, it is only our souls that will be resurrected on the day of judgment. And even the question of hellfire and paradise is all about the soul. That it is only the soul that will be tormented. That it is only the soul that will be that will enjoy in paradise or will be punished and tormented in hellfire. No. The Quran, as far as the Quran is concerned, and a number of hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, we will all be resurrected in body and soul. We will be resurrected in body and soul. So the Quran is certainly clear about this. Allah says, for example, in the Quran, in Surah An-Nisa, one of the verses that scholars, exegetes present in order to counter those who think that we shall not be resurrected in body and soul, Allah says in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 24, Allah says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا سَوْفَ نُسْلِيهِمْ نَارًا كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ بَدَّلْنَاهُمْ جُلُودًا غَيْرَهَا لِيَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَزِيزًا حَكِيمًا. Those who reject our verses, those who reject our signs, سَوْفَ نُسْلِيهِمْ نَارًا, we shall torture them with the hellfire. We shall torture them. كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ, whenever their skins are completely burnt, بَدَّلْنَاهُمْ جُلُودًا غَيْرَهَا, we renew their skins for them. لِيَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ, so that they will test of the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the scholars argue that if it is not possible, if resurrection is not with the body, how would Allah be talking about skin? That whenever their skin gets completely cooked up or burnt, we renew their skin. And another scientific fact comes out of this. We shall come to talk about this when we come to talk about science, because this confirms that sensation is on the external skin. We get pains or we get luxury or whatever on the skin. And this verse is saying whenever the skin is completely burnt, the skin will be renewed, because sensation, the feeling of pain or the feeling of joy or comfort is on the skin. So therefore this verse confirms that resurrection shall be with human body. In Surah Al-Fussilat, chapter 41, Allah says, وَيَوْمَ يُحْشَرُ أَعْدَاءِ اللَّهِ إِلَى النَّارِ فَهُمْ يُوزَعُونَ حَتَّى إِذَا مَا جَاءُوا شهد عليهم سمعهم وأبصارهم وجلودهم بما كانوا يعملون وقالوا لجنودهم لما شهدتم علينا قالوا أنطقنا الله الذي أنطق كل شيء وهو خلقكم أول مرة وإليه ترجعون وما كنتم تستترون أن يشهد عليكم سمعكم ولا أبصاركم ولا جنودكم ولكن ظننتم أن الله لا يعلم كثيرا مما تعملون. Allah says, and when they the enemies of Allah. That is how Allah puts it. Those who reject Allah. وَيَوْمَ يُحْشَرُ أَعْدَاءُ اللَّهِ إِلَى النَّارِ فَهُمْ يُوزَعُونَ. When the enemies of Allah shall be gathered and will be driven to the hellfire. حَتَّى إِذَا مَا جَاءُوهَا. When they arrive at it, شَهِدَ عَلَيْهِمْ سَمْعُهُمْ. Their ears will bear witness against them. وَأَبْصَارُهُمْ. And their eyes will bear witness against them. وَجُلُودُهُمْ. And their skins will bear witness against them. And they will say to their skins, how would you bear witness against us? The skin will say, أَنْتَقَنَا اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْتَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah that makes everything to talk is the one that has given us the power and ability to make speech. Just as Allah is saying in Surah Al-Zalzala, يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. It is the day when the earth will present its chronicles, its stories. So everything would be made to talk. Things that you see that are speechless today, they will be made to talk on that. Your fingers, when you touch something that is haram, your eyes, when you look at something that is haram, your ears, when you listen to something that is haram, they will all bear witness against you. This further confirms the resurrection is going to be with the physical body. We're going to be raised in our body and soul, not just in soul at all. We will stop at this point. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Wa subhanaka Allahumma la ilma lana illa ma allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.